It was a sunny Thursday afternoon in the town of Ridgeview. Sarah and Amanda, two friends in their early 30s, decided to go for a walk downtown to do some window shopping. As they strolled down Main Street, chatting and laughing together, they approached Tony's Barbershop, a small storefront with a spinning red and white barber pole out front. Through the window, they could see Tony, the barber, sitting in his chair reading a newspaper, waiting for his next customer. Tony was a kind older man in his 60s who had owned the barbershop for over 40 years. He knew everyone in town and enjoyed chatting with his customers while he cut their hair. As Sarah and Amanda drew closer to the barbershop, Amanda nudged Sarah's arm. "Hey, let's have some fun with old Tony," she said with a mischievous grin. Sarah smiled back impishly. Amanda called out loudly, "Hey, Tony, business looks a little slow today." Tony looked up from his newspaper with a frown, but didn't respond. Sarah chimed in, "Yeah, I heard all your customers are leaving you for that new barbershop across town. They say you just can't cut hair like you used to." Amanda snorted derisively. Tony shook his head and went back to reading his newspaper, refusing to engage with the women's teasing. I think we hurt his feelings," said Amanda in a mocking baby voice. "Poor old Tony can't take a little joke." Sarah laughed. "Well, in his defense, his hands do shake a lot. I wouldn't trust him to cut my hair either." The two women cackled loudly as they continued walking down the street, leaving Tony looking annoyed and embarrassed in his barbershop. The next day, Sarah and Amanda were out for their usual afternoon stroll. As they approached Tony's barbershop, they grinned mischievously, preparing to taunt the old barber again. "Let's really lay it on thick today," said Amanda. "I want to see if we can get him to cry." "You're so bad," laughed Sarah. They began loudly mocking Tony's shaky hands and outdated haircuts, pretending to be customers rejecting his services. Tony sat silently, his face growing redder by the minute. After a few minutes of berating the poor man, Sarah and Amanda started to walk away, cackling. But before they could leave, Tony quickly got up from his chair and locked the front door of the barbershop, flipping the open sign to closed. "Hey, what are you doing?" asked Amanda nervously. "You girls have had your fun, but now it's my turn," said Tony. His voice was calm, but his eyes blazed with anger. Tony forced Sarah down into the barber chair. As she struggled against his grip, he reached to the side and grabbed a long, shiny red cape. "What are you doing? Get off me!" Sarah shouted, but Tony ignored her protests. He swept the red cape around Sarah's neck and fastened it snugly with a Velcro strap. The long satin fabric cascaded down over her body, covering her clothes underneath. "This will catch the hair as I cut it," Tony explained ominously. Sarah glanced down in horror at the cape draped over her. She realized what was about to happen. "No, please, I'll do anything," she pleaded desperately. Tony said nothing as he plugged in the electric clippers and flipped the switch. The buzzing shears sprung to life in his hands. "No, no, no!" Sarah screamed, but it was too late. Tony grabbed a chunk of her long, beautiful blonde hair and brought the clippers up to the base of her neck. The shears effortlessly sliced through her locks, blonde strands falling onto the red cape below. Sarah cried and begged for him to stop, but Tony kept cutting relentlessly, making pass after pass with the buzzing clippers. Her once long hair piled up around her as he cropped closer and closer to the scalp. Sarah sat in the barber chair, her shoulders shaking as she sobbed uncontrollably. Her head was completely bald, not a single blonde strand left after Tony had viciously sheared it all off. The hair clippings covered the red cape still fastened around her. Tony reached forward and roughly unsnapped the cape, letting it fall away from Sarah's body. Her shorn locks cascaded down to the floor around the chair. "Get up," Tony commanded sternly. Sarah slowly stood up on trembling legs, clutching her bare head in disbelief and shame. Her scalp felt painfully exposed and cold without her thick hair to protect it. Tony's gaze turned toward Amanda, who stood paralyzed in fear near the door, watching the scene unfold. "It's your turn now," he told her with malicious delight. "No, please," Amanda cried, shaking her head frantically. She tugged desperately at the locked door behind her. Tony grabbed her arm and dragged her to the barber chair, forcing her down into the seat. Amanda screamed and fought back, But the old barber was determined to exert his revenge on her, too. He fastened the red cape tightly around Amanda's neck, ignoring her whimpers. As he unfurled her long brown hair from inside the cape, Amanda made one last desperate plea. "Tony, we'll never make fun of you again. I swear. Please let us go." But her cries fell on deaf ears. Tony methodically plugged in the clippers once more, their buzz filling Amanda with dread. Tony dragged the clippers across Amanda's scalp again and again, ensuring every last hair was removed. She sat helpless in the chair, tears streaming down her face. "Please, haven't you humiliated us enough?" Amanda sobbed. Tony scoffed. "I told you, I'm not done with you two yet." He then took his time lathering up her bare head with shaving cream. Amanda recoiled in fear as he held the open, straight razor to her scalp. "No, not that too," she begged. But Tony was merciless. He slowly scraped the razor over every inch of her head, erasing what little peach...